A Hollywood sex therapist is living her best life. She's got a thriving career. She's engaged to a well-known celebrity, and she's got 1950s pinup style good looks. But behind closed curtains, danger looms in the form of an ex-boyfriend who will not let this beauty get away. He breaks into her home on Valentine's night, terrorizes her, and then throws her off her own balcony. But the madness doesn't stop there. Let's dive into the case of Amie Harwick on this week's episode of Two Crime Newsies. Hey everyone, I'm Jen.
Hi, I'm Tina.
Woo, this is a good one.
This is a good story. Very emotional for me. I was crying by the end.
This week we're talking about a 48 Hours episode. It's season 36, episode 28, and it's called Justice for Amie Harwick. And I have known about Amie Harwick for a long, long time. I actually used to follow her on social media way back in the day. When I heard that she had been murdered, it was like this shock that this beautiful, lively woman all of a sudden was dead.
Wow. So you were following her when this happened?
Yes.
Oh.
So before we get into it, I want to say that we need to put out a little viewer warning. We are going to talk about some graphic things, some things involving just...
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. So this episode of 48 Hours was narrated by Erin Moriarty. This show, I think, starts with a warning, and the warning itself comes from Amie, who is the victim in all this. And she says that jealousy can be dangerous and can lead to violence and can even lead to death.
This is eerie foreshadowing. And I want to watch more 48 Hours episodes. I love the way they told this story. Again, I was in tears by the end of it. And I also appreciate all the video elements that we get to see. They show us body cam footage. We get to see trial footage. There's neighbor surveillance camera footage. And we'll talk about all those things as we go through the story. But they're all incredible pieces that we need to see to be able to put this story together. And the show opens with Amie's parents saying they've been wanting to tell her story, but they weren't ready. And now they're ready. And I get the sense from them that they're such sweet, lovely people.
They really are. You just see them and they're adorable.
They are, and they mention how proud they are of Amie and all her accomplishments, and I just love that.
So let's dive into who Amie is. We are talking about Dr. Amie Harwick. She's a licensed family and marriage therapist. At the time of her death, she was 38 years old. She was living in LA, and she was just this thriving person. She was a dancer. She was a photographer. She was even a fire eater.
She was also, at one point, a model, as she should be.
Gorgeous woman.
Because she was beautiful. She's got the total package, the brains and the beauty.
Agreed. Now, Amie was adopted by Penny and Tom Harwick of Pennsylvania when she was 11 months old. And we hear on the show from her parents that she was like super into heavy metal music, and to the point where she even got her parents involved in the heavy metal scene.
Yeah, Penny and Tom tell us that Amie turned them into metal heads. That's what they said, which I think is adorable. They are supporting her hobbies. They're going to metal concerts. And this reminds me of how my mother-in-law is really into sports.
Because of your husband?
I don't know if it's because of my husband or like it's just something they bonded over, but she's into football, basketball, soccer, and she knows more about some of these sports players than my husband does. And he, in fact, consults her when he's working on his fantasy football team.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I think it's awesome. And I love that just like she does, these parents share the same hobbies as their kids. It's something that they can bond over. I think it's very sweet.
It's super sweet. Well, we hear that after high school, Amie met a drummer from LA, and she ended up moving to Los Angeles with him in 2001, and they got married, but were only together for a couple of years and then ended up getting divorced. Now, in 2009, she met this guy named Gareth Pursehouse while Amie was working as a model and as a dancer at that time. And Gareth Perth's house, we hear on the show, was at that point in time an event photographer at LA parties. And he also worked on computers. He was an aspiring comedian, but we saw one of his like little clips on the show, and I didn't think he was all that funny. So, but the two of them dated for 2 years and then they broke it off.
Amie's parents say they don't know much more about Gareth, and they think this is one of the reasons Amie and Gareth didn't last too long. They think Amie knew that maybe he just wasn't who she thought that he was.
During the time that they were together, there were several red flags when it came to Gareth. Mm-hmm. We hear that several police reports were made by Amie against him. And Amie had reported to police that he had choked her, he had suffocated her, and he had punched her with a closed fist. And on the show, we see photos of these injuries, and it's breaks my heart to see. She is such a gorgeous lady, and then you see her with blood on her face, and it's so bad. And Amie ended the relationship and ended up getting a restraining order against Gareth in 2012.
Mm-hmm. Those pictures are really scary. At this time, when I hear that the restraining order, she had one, and then later we find out that it expired. And I wonder why restraining orders have expiration dates.
I think this is a two-part thing. One, if you knew it was expiring, do you have to have cause to get it re-upped?
I don't know, but I feel like once you have cause for it at all, it shouldn't be expired unless you say, okay, we can expire this.
Yeah, we can be done with this.
Like you as the person who filed it, you know? I mean, I feel like if you file a restraining order against someone, there's a danger there and you're trying to protect yourself. How does that just magically go away after a few years?
How is there a time frame put on that?
Right. That's nuts to me.
Mm-hmm. It's something that I don't think anybody has like really addressed.
It should be addressed.
After the breakup, Amie had told her parents that her house had been broken into. And on one occasion, only some personal photos were taken, but another time her computer was wiped clean, which in my mind, I'm like, red flag right there. We know Mr. Gareth apparently knew all about computers and worked with computers.
Oh my gosh, you're so right. He did. Amie's parents say she thought Gareth was the one who broke in and did all of this, but unfortunately, she didn't have a way to prove it. And I'm frustrated again right now. Mm-hmm. Why is it that so many times someone has to be injured or dying for a psychopath to be locked away?
Yeah. At this point, Amie didn't let any of this stop her though, right? She was on a trajectory. She had a plan for her life, and she ended up getting a degree to become a licensed therapist. And at this point, she would post these therapy videos on social media, which is when I found her account. I don't know if it was like on Instagram or where it was at the time, but like I remember coming across her videos. And I think truthfully, the thing that got me to like watch it first was like, wow, this girl looks like she's like Betty Page, like gorgeous woman. And she's really smart and she knows what she's talking about. And so like I would listen.
She comes across extremely intelligent. And we see some of the clips of these videos, and she also seems very sweet. And her voice, Jen, reminds me a lot of Holly Madison from Girls Next Door. Did you notice that?
Oh my gosh, you're totally right. Yeah. I love Holly. No wonder I might like Amie so much.
Yeah, they have a very similar voice. The cadence and the tone. It's just a very, what would you even call it? Just like a very sweet.
It's like a bubbly.
A sweet, bubbly, but not like an annoying voice. You know, a lot of people from like the West Coast have this Kardashian. Oh please, I'm talking about the Kardashians and they annoy me. It's okay.
Okay, so I can say honestly about the Kardashians, it's like my guilty pleasure to watch the Kardashian show. Not to mention, like right now, I'm literally wearing my pants, like my little joggers that I'm wearing right now are Skims because they're incredible.
I didn't know that was a Kardashian thing.
Oh yeah, it's Kim Kardashian's company. I'll tell you honestly, like her bras, her panties, her pants, whatever, they're fantastic.
That's fine. They can make great things. I just don't like to listen to them talk.
You're so bad.
That's okay. People probably don't like to listen to me talk either.
I like listening to you talk.
Thanks, Jen.
Well, at this point, Amie was working as a youth counselor, and she ended up losing her job because there was an anonymous person because somebody sent naked pictures of Amie to her boss anonymously. And at this point, Amie believed Gareth was behind this. But, something what I like about Amie, this did not stop her. She just kept on going. Amie, at this point, ended up getting her PhD in human sexuality and became a sex therapist.
Mm-hmm. She became Dr. Amie Harwick.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
You go, girl. And at this point, too, Amy's personal life was great. She was dating Drew Carey. At the time, he was on, what was that? The
Price is Right.
Price is Right. And he was interviewed on the show in 2022 saying that Amie was smart and beautiful and wanted to help people. The two of them met at a party and started dating rather quickly, and he ended up proposing to her in Paris, and she said yes.
I think this is a very intriguing couple.
Mm-hmm.
I would have never put them together. It seems very random to me. But we see a clip of Drew Carey and Amie on The Price is Right at one point, and he's introducing her to the audience as his fiance.
Yep. Well, interesting little factoid. So I have watched multiple shows and documentaries about Dr. Amie Harwick and what happened to her. And prior to dating Drew Carey, she actually dated Marilyn Manson too.
Stop it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, he's not a metal person. If you're a metalhead, is he a metal person or is he more of a rock person?
So I'll be honest, I listen to some Marilyn Manson, I'm all over the place with my music scene. And I mean, I don't know how to classify him, but she was into metal. She was into hard rock. Cool.
She has a very interesting taste in people.
Hey, to each his own. Why not?
Sure.
You only live once.
That's true.
So while Amie and Drew Carey were engaged at one point, later that same year, the two of them broke up.
It was Amie that chose to end the relationship.
Mm-hmm. So Amy's mom says that the reason they broke up was because Amie was worried about fame because Gareth would see her.
She can't enjoy her life. She can't live in peace. She can't marry her fiancé because she's afraid that some psycho is going to lose his mind and hurt her.
Well, he did.
Ugh.
All right, so we're going to get into the crime scene. So it starts off in the late hours of Valentine's Day, February 14th of 2020. It leads into the early morning hours of February 15th of 2020. We're still in Los Angeles, and we're inside. The scene itself is this beautiful Tudor-looking style house in Los Angeles. Now, the property has large trees. It's a very nice-looking neighborhood. It's up in the Hollywood Hills. It's a large house. It's 3 stories. Amie at the time was living with a roommate. And the roommate, who his name is Michael Herman, says that he woke up to a blood-curdling scream. And we see body cam video from the police officers. In the video, we see Michael Herman, who is Amy's roommate, telling officers that Amie was attacked and he heard it and she was screaming and was thrown to the ground.
Right. In the body cam footage, Michael is visibly upset. He's talking fast. The officer is telling him he needs to calm down so that they can get all the information that he's trying to tell them. And they ask if anyone else is in the house, and Michael says he doesn't know.
So the body cam video shows the officers enter the backyard and there's a body on the ground. That person is Amie. She is clinging to life when officers respond. And in the video, you can hear one of the police officers saying, "We need an ambulance. Who did this to you?" Amie ended up being transported to the hospital where she passed away.
At that time, when officers were checking on her, we see Michael reacting to seeing the body, and he's freaked out.
He's petrified.
He immediately gets out of the backyard, and we flash back to present day where he's doing his interview with 48 Hours, and he says it took him a minute to process that what he was seeing, that person on the ground, was Amie. And she was barely alive when officers found her, and we hear the narrator on the show tell us that Michael seemed to be the only witness at this point.
Yep. And Michael told officers that there was a struggle inside the house that he had heard.
The narrator tells us that Michael said an intruder attacked Amie.
Now, at this point, we hear on the show from Scott Masterson, who is the lead detective on this case, and he said that it kind of looked a little suspicious at this point in time because there was no sign of an intruder at that they could see, and they started wondering, did Michael Herman, the roommate, in fact do this to Amie? Officers searched the house and found Amie's purse, her jacket, a broken necklace on the floor. Then they went to the deck of the balcony on the 3rd floor, which was off of Amie's bedroom, where they believe she had either fallen or been thrown off, or she had fallen off of this balcony. Mm-hmm. And they say on that balcony, they found a syringe with some kind of yellow liquid inside, which was totally random.
Yeah, no one knows what it is.
No one knows what it is. And they start wondering, did she fall off the balcony? Did she just randomly trip over it? Was she a drug user? Why was there a syringe on her balcony? And at this point, we can see in the police video that Michael Herman is saying Amie is sober. She doesn't even drink. That's when police, including Masterson, the lead detective, says that Herman had blood on his shirt.
And he says he's her roommate. But we find out that he didn't have his keys to the house when the responders arrive. And right now I'm thinking, what do you mean? This is very confusing that you'd think there's something weird because he doesn't have the keys to his house. I mean, he was inside the house. He heard the struggle. Why would you grab your keys to meet first responders outside? All very confusing to me. He's looking suspicious to officers at this point. And we hear this episode we're watching is the first time Michael is speaking publicly about what happened that night.
Yep. And so what happened that night was Amie had gone out with some friends the night of Valentine's Day of 2020. Now, Michael was in his downstairs bedroom resting, and he says he woke up to a noise, but he thought it was probably just Amie's cat, so he went back to sleep, and then he heard Amie come home. And then a terrible scream is what he says. He says it sounded like Amie was thrown on the floor, and it sounded like she was being choked.
The noise that Michael thought was the cat, he said, sounded like a plate crashing down. And he says at this point he knew there was somebody up there, but he didn't know who was up there, how many people were up there. He started yelling to try to scare whoever was up there and get them to leave.
But what else he didn't do, and this is one of the things that I had so many questions about. Michael at this point was like, I gotta call for help, right? I'm yelling for whoever's up there with Amie, and I need to do more. So he tries to find his phone, and I guess in the scuffle that this is inside his bedroom, this chaos that's going on, he couldn't find his phone, so he left the house. He left the house to go get help. I'm just in my notes, I wrote, he left her. Dude, go upstairs.
Right. Grab a knife, grab a weapon. Also, how the heck could he not find his phone? This isn't the early 2000s when we weren't as addicted to our phones as we are now. This was 2020 when this happened.
We all were addicted to our phones.
Yeah, it was a month before COVID lockdown that this happened. We didn't do anything without our phones in our hand even then. And Michael tells the interviewer that he made the decision to leave because he thought it was the right decision to try to save her. He went to go get help.
He ran out of the house, but apparently the gate was locked. So they have a gate around their house. And he ended up climbing the fence, and that's how he cut his stomach, we're told, and had blood on his shirt. And he ran to the neighbors for help.
And we also see video footage of the neighbor's house showing Michael knocking on their door, but no one answers. Although I did wonder why he wasn't screaming for someone to come out when he was knocking at the door.
He was just kind of
and just waiting. Yeah, like a very calm knock. I'd have been like, help!
Yeah.
Help me!
Yeah, I would have probably like run down the street screaming.
Yeah, so he says no one answered, so he found someone on the street and used their phone to call 911, and we do hear a snippet of that phone call. But also, going back to having the gate locked, I understand having the gate locked and needing to unlock it from the outside, right? Like needing a key to unlock it. But I would think if you're coming from the house, leaving the house, there would be a way for you to just be able to
like do the handle and
yeah,
go. Yeah,
like it would just be locked from one way. So I guess whenever you leave the house, you have to have your keys to unlock the gate also, which also to me just seems sort of like a hazard of some sort. Like you can't quickly escape if you need to. You know what I mean? Like a fire or for whatever reason. So yeah, that's all very confusing to me.
It's very confusing. And I think all of these things are reasons why investigators were also kind of suspect. While investigators are inside this house, they find a broken window of a French door on the ground level of the house. Now, the way this house is, so Michael was on the first floor, which is the ground level. And then you have 2 more stories above that because it's a 3-story house. And Amie's bedroom is on the 3rd floor. Investigators saw that this French door had been broken. And so there was glass everywhere. And they found blood nearby. And I think at this point they had this like aha moment, like somebody ended up breaking into the house.
Now Michael's story is starting to make sense to detectives.
Because he heard what was described as like a plate breaking or something, which was not a plate. It was the glass breaking.
Yep.
And at the police station, Michael Herman told officers that Amie had an ex-boyfriend who she had a restraining order against. Red flag. Mm-hmm. But the restraining order had lapsed. It had expired. And he did not know this ex-boyfriend's name, but Robert Cashlin, who was one of Amie's best friends, would know his name. In 2020, Robert Cashlin, who was Amie's best friend, had been interviewed. And he said that he knew right away that Gareth, Amie's ex-boyfriend, the guy she had this restraining order out, is the one who did it. Gareth Perthhouse, was Amie's ex-boyfriend who she had dated 10 years before. And within 13 hours of Amie's death, police arrested this guy. When they arrested Gareth, he had a black eye. And you know why he said he had that black eye? You know why? He said he was doing a home renovation. How terrible are you that you get a black eye during a home renovation? Sir, no.
I mean, I would, but I'm me and I'm clumsy. But okay, so Gareth wasn't funny, you mentioned.
He was not funny.
The detective in this 48 Hours episode is funny because when he hears Gareth tell him this, he advises Gareth to get a contractor because he'll be in real trouble if he handles some power tools. I love that.
And Amie died February 15th of 2020. Now, 4 days later, right? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Yes. 4 days later,
You're going to make me spit out my coffee with you doing math in your head like that is so funny.
I was literally like counting down on my fingers. So on February 19th of 2020, Gareth Perthhouse was charged with Amie's murder and a special circumstance. Now we hear from the deputy DA, his name is Victor Avila. He says the special circumstance was that Gareth had broken into Amie's house and was lying in wait.
Oh, it's creepy.
So creepy. Like you come home from like a girls' night, it's Valentine's Day, you're out having fun, and this guy is waiting for you in your bedroom and he's obsessed with you. And could you imagine, like in my mind, I see this, like she walks into a dark bedroom, flips on the light, and he's there. Like, how terrifying is that?
It's like seeing a monster in your room.
Mm-hmm. Well, and by the images of him, yeah, he is a monster-looking dude.
Right.
So we hear from another DA, Deputy DA Catherine Mariano, who says Gareth's obsession...
It's his name. It's hard.
It is so hard. Gareth, whatever. Obsession with Amie drove him to kill her. And 1 month before the murder, this kind of, I think, all started coming together for Gareth. He ran into Amie at an awards show in LA that she was attending, and he was taking pictures at this awards show. After not seeing Gareth for more than a decade, she saw him, and he reportedly yelled at her at this event, saying she had ruined his life. Amie's mom on the show says that Amie told her she spent almost an hour talking to him and calming him down, and left the event super worried.
Amie's mom says Gareth was crying, and Amie went into her therapist mode to try to calm him down. She told her mom she was going to get pepper spray, and she started sharing her location with one of her close friends so he would always know where she was.
That's so scary.
Yeah.
And at this point, Amie was super worried about Gareth, and she told friends that if something happened to her, he's the one who did it. He's the one responsible.
At this point, the restraining order has long expired, but we hear that Amie didn't go to police because she didn't think they would be able to help her because she hadn't actually received a threat from Garrett. And I feel sick.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to me that there are so many protections for the psychopaths and not enough for the victims. And not just victims of physical abuse, but mental abuse. Because telling her that she ruined his life is crazy.
So crazy. Deputy DA Victor Avila says the next day, Gareth found Amie's phone number online and started texting her and left her a voicemail, which we hear. And Amie blocked his number then. And that's when, by the action of her blocking him, that's when prosecutors say he started planning to kill her on Valentine's Day. Now, I think Valentine's Day is significant because Valentine's Day is a day of romance and a day of love.
Yeah, prosecutors also believe it was significant. They say that he was making a statement by choosing to end her life on that day. And do you remember the movie Road Trip, Jen?
I don't.
Where Amy Smart is in the bus and she screams, "Are there any guys out there who are just normal?" When I'm watching this, that's what I'm thinking. Like, I just want to scream.
That's what you want to yell. Okay, so let's get into the actual what happened to Amie. February 14th of 2020, Valentine's Day, Amie goes out with her girlfriends, right? We already talked about that. 2 hours later, a surveillance camera from next door to Amie's house is activated. And we see someone slowly, and we're talking very slowly, walking down a small set of stairs on the side of this yellow house. It is beyond creepy, this video. The person looks a lot like Gareth. And the deputy DA, Victor Avila, says he's wearing a hat, a jacket, shorts, white tube socks, and gloves. Then you know that Gareth is seeing the video camera recording him. And so he walks up to the camera and puts his gloved hand over it to try to cover the camera. And it was just so creepy watching this video.
I just shivered.
And at that point, Gareth hopped the fence into Amie's yard. And around 9 p.m., police believe he broke in through that French door. Remember, Michael Herman had heard that. And he ended up cutting himself. Then he hid in the house and waited for Amie to get home.
That's the plate crashing noise that Michael thought was the cat. And DNA testing also proves that that blood near the French door was Gareth's.
And Scott Masterson, the detective, believes that Gareth then climbed into Amie's bed and was there. And he waited for her while in her bed. How creepy is that?
I hate it.
And he waited for close to 4 hours. Around 1 a.m. is when Amie got home. And this is when we're told Amie walks in, she goes into the house and she walks up to her third floor bedroom. And Detective Masterson says he thinks she just froze when she saw Gareth. We hear that they believe she threw her phone at him and turned to try to run out of the bedroom. Now, he gets her, right? He grabs her and they struggle and she fights like hell. And the deputy DA says that they know that Amie was fighting for her life because Gareth had a bite mark on his arm and he had that black eye.
Yep.
It didn't come from any contracting work, buddy. And the other deputy DA says that when Amie's roommate yelled that there was an intruder in the house, That caught Gareth off guard. He didn't know that anyone else was in the house. And that's when he dropped that syringe on the balcony containing what we later find out to be liquid nicotine, which is a poison that can kill someone. It's believed that he then carried Amie to the 3rd-story balcony and threw her off.
Yep.
And he then runs away and is caught again on that neighbor's security camera. And we see him just bolt, right? He flees. In August of 2023, 3 years after this happened, this finally went to trial. And Gareth Purcell ended up blaming Amie in court. He said that she was the reason this happened that night.
Freaking course. He blames everything on Amie. Nuts. The whole 10 years had gone by before he saw her again, and now another 3 years after she died, and it's still Amie's fault, he says. Ugh.
So Gareth Purcell's defense attorney told the jury that he was sent into this deep depression after seeing Amie, and the only way out of it was to talk to Amie on Valentine's Day of 2020. What the heck, dude? Like, I don't think so.
Okay, I'm going to say a lot right now.
Say a lot.
So the only way to get out of your depression was to talk to Amie. What kind of sense does that make?
None.
How about you talk to a psychiatrist? How about you get a prescription for your depression? Take a walk in the sunshine. Touch some grass. Take a swim in the ocean. Hug a dog.
Hug a dog?
How can you be depressed when you hug a dog? Get a hobby. Help someone other than yourself. How about you find some purpose in your life? How about you do something good for your family, for your friends, for your coworkers, heck, even a stranger? All of those things are things you can try to get out of your depression, sir.
Not go and try to kill your ex-girlfriend.
Oh, I'm so angry.
So as for the syringe, right, of course, Purcell's attorney has an explanation for that. Said in court that Gareth Purcell brought the syringe with intending to use it on himself.
Well, then what happened? Why did he kill Amie and not himself? Amie's parents say exactly what we're thinking right now. That's bullcrap.
Agreed. And Detective Masterson says that he was on a mission when he went there to kill her.
He says the evidence proves it. He was wearing gloves. He covered up the cameras. He was trying to hide his tracks. And if he intended to kill himself, he wouldn't care about any of those things.
Well, plus he could have done it at his own house.
Yup.
He didn't have to go to Amie's house.
Nope.
Yep. So the defense in opening said this. So I'm going to read what the defense said. Yes, Gareth Purcell was waiting in her home. He broke into her home. Had he not been there, she would not have died that night. That is not in dispute. It set a chain of actions into motion that led to her death, but the evidence will show that he never intended on killing her. That's all I gotta say.
The defense says they have an accident reconstructionist.
I didn't even know this was
What a
like
career.
I know, right?
Who's going to show how Amie fell on her own. Then they show a picture of Amie posing on a balcony railing, and they have the nerve to say that she had a certain comfort level with the balcony railing.
So we see this picture. It's like just a beautiful picture of Amie. She's kind of like sitting on a balcony railing, and like there's a tree behind her, and she kind of has her like head on her hand, and it's just one of those like beautiful pictures.
Right. Amie's parents tell us what they're thinking. Again, it's the same thing we're thinking. That's ridiculous.
Agreed.
And this trial goes on for 10 days.
10 days of nonsense.
Yep.
So in a taped jail conversation between Gareth Purcell and his friends, we hear this. And he sounds giddy, and it makes me just want to like punch him in the face.
It's sick.
On this recorded call, he says, I guess I'm officially a bad boy right now. And he starts laughing. And then he says, I'm not going to get out of this. And at this point, the defense rested. And they didn't call a single witness.
Not even the accident reconstructionist.
And during closing, the defense attorney presenting a new theory, right? And this new theory said that maybe Amie attacked Purcell. What? What? He was in her house. You said it in your opening that he went to her house.
Yep. We hear video of the defense saying, or we see video of defense saying, we don't know who initiated the physical confrontation. This is a woman saying this. Ma'am, I'm pretty sure breaking into a home is initiating a physical confrontation.
Yeah.
They have the nerve to say that it's likely, if not likelier, that Amie attacked him in order to subdue him. This tiny woman against this giant man. Sure, lady, Amie was around 115 pounds. And we see clips of her sitting next to, I think she was on Good Morning America, one of those shows.
Talk shows. Good Day LA, I think.
Okay, so she was sitting next to other hosts of their show. They are all pretty tiny people. She's the tiniest of them all. Mm-hmm. She's tiny. And Gareth, we hear, is 230 pounds and 6'4".
He's literally double her weight.
That's crazy. Mm-hmm. She could attack him and it would be like a chihuahua attacking a Great Dane. Like, what are you talking about?
That's a great analogy. You're so right. You're so right. So in all of this, we hear that Amie had sent herself an email after having that January run-in with Gareth Pursehouse at the award ceremony. And she wrote, "Tonight I felt very scared. Gareth came up behind me and started screaming. I'm pretty nervous. I'm more on his radar now. It terrifies me that he's been obsessed with me for 9 years and thinks about me every day. He's focused on harming me. It breaks your heart. It does. Poor girl."
It's a smart thing that she did. She documented what happened that night. And the jury had 3 choices to choose from at the end of the trial. They had to decide whether to give him the highest charge of murder in the first degree, murder in the second, or the lesser charge of voluntary manslaughter.
We hear that the jury deliberated for 2 days, and Gareth Pursehouse was found guilty of first-degree murder with special circumstances. And remember, that special circumstance was him lying in wait, him waiting in her bedroom for her to get home. And he was sentenced to life in prison without parole. Good. In my opinion, that's 100% what he deserves.
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't bring Amie back. And one of Amie's former patients, Emily Sears, says she struggles to feel safe knowing what happened to Amie. After Amie's death, her friends and family worked on a petition to update the domestic violence laws in California, and that includes a statute to prevent restraining orders from expiring. Yes!
Yeah.
I agree. It's so important. The terrible part is we hear that COVID derailed everything. So nothing transpired from it. And I'm crying by the end of this episode. She was so lovely. She was so loved by her friends, her family, and she seemed like such a sweet soul.
Yep, she really does. This case, I think, is just so sad. But it was one that I told Tina I really wanted to cover because I feel like, one, domestic violence is such a huge thing in this country, all over the world, realistically. But I also think that not many people have heard of this case. And
I hadn't.
She was just such a good person by all accounts of what everybody has ever said of her. And I've watched multiple documentaries on her. Like I said, I used to follow her on social media. And she tried to help people. And I wanted to cover this case specifically because I wanted to get it out there that, one, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And it's also one of those things like, at the end of the day, nobody's watching out for yourself but yourself.
Yeah.
If you or anyone you know is experiencing domestic violence or stalking too, for that matter, there's help out there. And we're going to put the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline on the bottom of our podcast description.
I do hope that her friends and family pick this petition back up and start to see if they can make some traction, because I think it's so important to try to figure out how to get restraining orders from expiring.
Yeah.
I think it's such a great idea.
And we would like to know what you think about this episode. I am curious, like, did you guys like this episode?
Have you ever heard this story before?
Yeah.
Do you want more 48-hour stories?
I love the 48 Hours episodes.
I think it was well done. And I definitely want to cover more of them. I think they have a lot of interesting cases. We don't hear about them in other places. So yeah, if you like this story, give us a comment on our Instagram, our Facebook page.
Send us an email,
Send us an
twocrimenewsies@gmail.com.
Yeah. And leave us a 5-star review. We have several of them on Apple Podcasts. Jen is going to read one right now.
Listener named Jeff. And Jeff said, laughing through the crime, love it. If you're a fan of true crime and love a good laugh, Two Crime Newsies is an absolute must listen. Jen and Tina have an incredible way of retelling true crime stories with a perfect blend of humor, wit, and respect for the cases they cover. I like the fact that he made the comment that we respect the cases we cover because we do want to show the victims respect.
Yes, agreed.
Jeff says their chemistry is infectious and their hilarious comedy keeps you engaged from start to finish. Whether you're a seasoned true crime junkie or just dipping your toes in, this podcast delivers the perfect mix of storytelling and entertainment. Highly recommend. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Jeff. That was awesome. Please leave us a 5-star review. We love to read them. It makes our day. And if you want a shout out on the podcast, let us know in your review. Tell us you want a shout out. We'll shout your name out and give you a thank you for leaving us a 5-star review.
Yep. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that way you don't miss any of our episodes. They'll automatically download for you so you can listen to them next time you're in your car or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And we will see you guys again I guess we will talk to you guys again.
Yeah, we won't see them. We'll talk to them.
We'll talk to them again?
Yeah.
All right. We'll talk to you again next week.
Bye.